You are way too kind, folks, and welcome to a special Saturday edition of Wednesday Night is Overbooked. Even though it's Saturday, not Wednesday, we're going to be talking about one of the last PLEs of the year for the WWE coming from NXT called Halloween Havoc. Now, if you have heard this name before, this was an old WCW pay-per-view, and when the WWE bought WCW, they brought in a bunch of names of pay-per-views, and they're using them usually through NXT. So that's that. And before we get going any further, I want to thank everyone who's going to be watching in the chat. If you have watched, be sure to go down below into the description. Check out all the links down below for myself and everyone who is over on Wednesday Night is Overbooked. This is free to support the channel. Check out our channels. Give us a subscription, and by all means, hit that like button for the show today. Leave a comment, especially if you're on the rewatch. Leave another comment. It just pushes everything into the algorithm. So if you don't mind, folks.
I say you better subscribe or we'll bash in some skulls, right?
Thank you, Harley. And now I got another little treat for you. A little friend of mine, while I give a little opening talk here, gave me some music, and we're going to play a little music while I talk. So this is from a good friend, Dempsey, here. So we're going to have a little chat here for real quick. So I want to say that for now 2 PLEs in a row, NXT is able to do something that the WWE main roster is frankly unable to do. And that's book a 6-match show and have it completed in under 3 hours. Follow back. Get on this. Now, initially, when NXT agreed to partner with TNA and later on when WWE acquired AAA, it became initially very predictable when it came to the championship. No one was going to take other promotions' titles. And it's definitely changed of late. And now we have talent from all 3 promotions holding gold from the others, which has made it a bit interesting. And that will actually take us into our first topic of today, which is, and that was TNA and NXT teaming up against AAA, as we had right here in this little match right here. This is the match cards right here. We had Parka and Mr. Iguana teaming up with NXT talent Javon Evans and the TNA X Division champion, Slater. Now, this match started off very much like a typical luchador match. It was a lot of chain wrestling going back and forth, just exchanging moves, nothing really going on, nothing having any real impact. And this was kind of a match where all 4 of them got to kind of show off. Now, Parka hit a moonsault from the top rope out onto the floor, and that's really where the match got started. Now, they both had a hot tag. Javon had a hot tag to Slater, and Parka to Mr. Iguana. And this started showcasing the talents of all the promotions. This was a lot of high flying in this match. There was a lot of just very much a spot wrestling luchador TNA X Division type match, which also caters to Javon Evans quite well. Now, there was a weird kind of break in the match where they were just kind of exchanging chops back and forth, all 4 of them. Finally, Mr. Iguana brought in Layeska, his puppet Iguana, to join in. Now, it really kind of, the energy was kind of dipping a little bit, but then Slater hit this leapfrog somersault over the post onto the floor, taking out both Parka and Iguana. That really picked up the energy of the match. And then at the end, Slater hit a 450 swanton for the 1, 2, 3. On the whole, it was okay. I mean, if you enjoy spot wrestling, this is definitely your match. For me, it only goes so far. The match was simply okay. It existed. Then we picked up in our next match, which was the North American Championship, which was between the NXT North American Champion versus El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. This is the AAA Latin American Championship. This match is for the North American Championship. No other titles were on the line. And this was Dr. Wagner Jr.'s match. This was a Day of the Dead match. Now, when the bell rang, all of a sudden we start seeing like black light and stuff glowing around the match. And I got a really bad vibe on this. It felt very much like, if you know what I'm talking about, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match, which initially had me going, please, we don't ever need to revisit that again. And frankly, when it comes to Ethan Page, I've been loving his work of late as a heel, going with this second run as the North American champion. Now, the Day of the Dead match just seemingly equals a street fight. It's a hardcore match with the black lights. Okay, sure. Now there was one spot early on in the match, which was just kind of silly, where Dr. Wagner kind of folded Ethan Page up and placed a chair right on his ass and hit a drop kick in the chair into Ethan Page's ass. That got a laugh from the crowd. And then we got trash cans involved, as Page at one point got hit against the steel ring steps and got busted open. And when he came out, he had half his face in a red and white Canadian maple leaf flag sugar skull face paint. So the blood was definitely matching the other side of his face. It was actually quite an interesting look here. Now, later on in the match, Ethan Page is starting to rip the top of Dr. Wagner Jr.'s mask off, which is a big no-no in Luchador. And this turned into the fuck around and find out moment, as Dr. Wagner hit a code breaker from the top rope, which got a very near fall, a 2.75 count. This was very close to being over. Ethan Page hit a razor's edge through a trash can for a near fall. And finally, the tables had entered the match. Again, of course, because you've got to have the Slim Jim table, because when you put them through a table, you've snapped into a Slim Jim. Got to have that product placement there. Now, Ethan goes to rip the mask again, and as Dr. Wagner is adjusting his mask, Ethan Page throws like some ash or something into his face, blinds him temporarily. As Ethan Page hits his twisted grin, which is a side effect that Matt Hardy would use, and we'll talk about Matt Hardy in a bit. From the second rope, through the Slim Jim table for the 1, 2, 3, and Ethan Page still remains the NXT North American champion. This was a much better match overall, as far as a story in the ring and what the action involved, at least in my opinion. That brought us to our third match, which is initially a match I was really looking forward to, and that was the Women's North American Championship match. Now, this was supposed to be Blake Monroe versus the champion Sol Ruca, but instead we got Sol Ruca was injured in a tag team match at SmackDown when she and Zaria challenged Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So instead, we had Zaria, her tag team partner, defending the North American Championship on behalf of Sol Ruca. Now, Sol Ruca did come to join Zaria at ringside during the match, and it started off pretty easy. The bell rang. Blake hits a Luthez press to get the match going. This started off at a pretty quick pace. Zaria quickly slowed the pace down of the match with her power moveset. She put this on early display. Now, Monroe had taken, before the match started going to the outside, taken her arm, her left arm and shoulder, and jerked it across the ring ropes. This caused an apparent injury, which Zaria was selling the entire match. This became a target and a story throughout the match. Now, and then Blake hits does a arm breaker hold, does an arm bar where she wraps herself and drapes herself over the ropes, breaking at the 5 count, and then follows up with a missile drop kick. Got a two count. Zaria did come back with a series of clotheslines, selling the left arm, hits a pump kick and a big suplex, and then setting up for her finishing move, the F5, as Blake grabbed the left shoulder, jerked on it, and was able to escape, again selling that shoulder. Now, Blake, again, Zaria again played the power game. Zaria got Blake up into a torture rack, submission hold. Blake grabs the shoulder, torques on it, turns it into an armbar, as Zaria then lifts Blake up with one arm and drops her into a sit-down powerbomb for another near fall. Now, on the outside, Zaria, as the match went outside, Zaria does a running charge at Blake Monroe toward the steel steps. Blake moves out of the way, and she rams that left shoulder again into the steel steps, just selling the shoulder, and the referee was talking to her. The commentators are saying maybe they should stop the match, And of course, Zaria being the babyface, she's going to have that triumphant power up and get back in to the ring. And then what I was going into my notes here. And then, the thing that got Zaria back into the ring was Ruca at ringside grabs Zaria by the shoulder, slams her into the ring post like Lethal, the Weapon style, whenever Mel Gibson would have a shoulder separated. And all of a sudden, magically, the shoulder's back in place, and Zaria feels just fine. Now, Blake countered another F5, going into another armbar, and then she hit a nasty running knee strike for a two count. Zaria countered, throwing Blake off the ropes, hitting a big spear for a 2 count as Soul then rolls outside. Zaria's chasing her. Soul was kind of, like you said, she's at ringside. Blake Monroe runs into one of her crutches and she falls down. This distracts Zaria. She's paying attention to Soul Ruca. Blake hits a snap DDT, which she calls the glamour shot, out onto the floor. Rolls Zaria back into the ring, hits the glamour shot again for the 1, 2, 3. And we have a new Women's North American champion. Won't be the first title that she gets in WWE, and that is Blake Monroe. The more I think about this match, the more I think that the injury may have been a bit of a work, bit of an angle, as maybe WWE didn't want Soul Ruca to outright lose. This was kind of a way to protect her. And I see Soul Ruca heading to the main roster very soon. So this was a title that she had to drop in order to pave her way to the main roster. Now, surprisingly, this match came next, as I was expecting this to be more toward the end of the show. But we had the NXT Women's Championship match. So this was, we come right back to here. This was a match that, again, I was not excited about because it was Tatum Paxley versus the NXT Women's Champion, Jayne. Not a match that, if you're looking at the card, you're going, oh, this is a match I have to see. Now, of course, Tatum Paxley came out with Izzy Dame and the members of the Culling. Jayne came out with Fallon Henley and Laney Reed, the members of Fatal Influence. I'm not going to lie, this match started very slow and very awkward to start the match. Trying just to get the feel of the match, and the ladies were just trying to figure each other out and get it into the flow. Now, Tatum at one point escaped under the ring, and to avoid Jayne, she came out on the other side, hit a big dive on Fallon Henley, but found herself flat on her back on the floor as Jayne positions her under the ring and does a slingshot into the metal frame of the ring. That just looked like it absolutely sucked. Brings her back into the ring, hits a cannonball in the corner for a 2 count. And then for most of the beginning of the match, Tatum was just not to amount any offense whatsoever. There's nothing sustained. Now, she did at one point she put Jacy into a sleeper hold, which she then turned into a suplex. And then she hit this beautiful fisherman's suplex, goes to the top. Jayne meets her there with a kick, and then Jayne hits a gorgeous swinging avalanche neckbreaker from the top. Goes for the count for the 1, 2, and then Shawn Spears conveniently just sneaks in just in the nick of time to put Tatum's foot on the ropes. Fatal Influence gets involved, and then the ref sends both factions to the back to not get involved in the match again. So now we're just down to a one-on-one. Right, if we go back to the action in the ring, Jacy Jayne hits her running knee strike again. This just looks nasty for a two count. Tatum Paxley gets up, actually hits Jacy Jayne with her own finisher, the rolling encore, goes up to the top, hits a 450 splash. Very, very near fall. Championship could have definitely fallen at that moment. And then Jacy Jayne gets dropped with hits Tatum Paxley with a draping neck breaker through the ropes, and then hits Tatum Paxley again with a face buster on the apron. At this point, the girls are just trading rights in the middle of the ring. Now, from the camera view, we see the calling come out from the entry. Shawn Spears and Nico Vance are coming out, and Fatal Attraction, Fallon Henley, and Lainey Reed are stopping the guys, jumping on their back, doing whatever shenanigans. Well, there's another member of the calling here, and Izzy Dane shows up from the other side, grabs the NXT title belt, gets into the ring, looks as if she's going to hit Tatum Paxley with the belt. Tatum ducks. Jacy Jayne then eats a rolling encore for her troubles. During the distraction, Tatum hits Jacy Jayne with her finishing move. She calls it the Cemetery Drive. And we have a new NXT Women's Champion. This is Tatum Paxley. Are you kidding me? I mean, it was a shock to the world when Jacy Jayne beat Stephanie Navacare to become the NXT Women's Champion. So we have a new unlikely champion who just replaced the previous unlikely champion. Not sure how the story is going to play out because I'm not sure if Izzy Dane is truly happy as for Tatum Paxley as the rest of the calling is. And we shall see what that comes out to be. Next, we have our second to last match, and that is for the NXT Tag Team titles. This is with Darkstate, all 4 members, versus the Hardy Boys, who are the TNA and NXT Tag Team Champions. This is a broken rules match, as in a video package on Tuesday, Matt and Jeff Hardy, they go into their pool of resurrection, and Matt Hardy comes out as Broken Matt Hardy. Jeff comes out as Brother Nero, as they're having a broken rules match, which is just a no rules match. And I'm just going to change the banner here because we'll be talking about this right here. For the NXT Tag Team Championships. And again, right here, we have members of Darkstate versus the Hardy Boys. Now, the Hardy Boys are the only talent outside of the WWE to hold WWE Gold. Nobody from TNA or AAA has won any NXT or main roster titles. So there's that. But obviously now with that can now be in flux. I don't know what to say about this match. Again, this broken rules match, all 4 members of Darkstate were legal. So this is basically, there's no tagging in, no tagging out. This is a 4-on-2 handicap match for a tag team title. Make sense. Now, early on, Matt and Jeff were playing the hits. They were doing a version of Poetry in Motion. And again, we see ladders around the ring. We saw tables outside the ring. Of course, they brought in chairs as well. So this really just turned into a TLC match. Now, it has been 25 years since the first tables and ladders match, and those years are really starting to show on on the Hardys. As later on in the match, they brought in trash cans, they brought in kendo sticks, as this just simply devolved into a plunder match. Trash cans, kendo sticks, on top of tables, ladders, and chairs. At one point, Matt Hardy does hit his twist of fate, and Jeff Hardy goes up to hits the Swanton Bomb for a 2 count. And then they hit Jeff hits a stunner, which turns into a pop-up neck breaker by Matt. That also got a 2 count. And in typical Hardy fashion, they got the real tall ladder and the table set up on the outside, and they have a member of Darkstate laying across the table. And Jeff goes for a Swanton Bomb. And the member of Darkstate just moves out of the way, and Jeff goes careening through the tables by himself. Again, just looked like it absolutely sucked. Now, the end of the match came when that same tall ladder, which is set up right against the ring, one of the members of Darkstate climbs up, and the other member of Darkstate has, I believe it's Jeff Hardy, up on his shoulders, turns to face him, and they hit a doomsday device through 2 tables on the other side for the 1, 2, 3, and Darkstate recaptures the NXT Tag Team titles. I'm going to say, with the plethora of professional wrestling talent, especially that's has been in the WWE, is looking to probably close out the WWE. The likes of John Cena closing out this year. AJ Styles closing out next year. CM Punk has said that his wrestling days in ring are becoming fewer and fewer. The rumor is Chris Jericho may be coming back to the WWE for one final run and a Hall of Fame induction. I mean, I really have to wonder how much longer and how many more bumps can the Hardy Boys take. I'm just saying. And that brings us to the final match of the night. That is the NXT Championship between Trick Williams and Ricky Saints. Right up here. Ricky Saints versus Trick Williams. Trick Williams, a former two-time NXT champion. This is Ricky Saints' first title defense as NXT champion. So, yeah, there's one part of this match that really annoyed me, but I'll get to that when I get to that. As Trick almost right away tried to take this match to the outside, he's clearing off the announce table, as both are just doing posturing and showboating early on. Trick Williams hit a big flapjack for a 2 count. Now, Ricky, during the initial announce table spot, which Trick was doing outside the ring toward the beginning, seems to have gotten a cut right above his right eye, and the blood is starting to show throughout the match. Now, Trick was doing most of the offense early as he hit a big blockbuster off the top rope for another two count. And this was the part that annoyed me, as the announcers kept saying that Trick Williams was going for history. He's going to make history tonight if he wins, as he will be the 3-time NXT champion. As if Trick Williams will be the first person to ever hold the NXT championship 3 times. I guess they forgot about Samoa Joe. Just saying. Now, Saints, he reversed a vertical suplex into one of his own. Trick countered with a sidekick with another neck breaker for another two count. Ricky Saints hit a big Samoan drop, walks the ropes all out, Undertaker style, jumps down, hits his shoulder into a side Russian leg sweep, and does a reverse DDT for a two count. Trick Williams also reversed a Hurricane Rana by Saints into a Boston Crab submission hold and a series of Iranagis, which Joseph called it rock bottom, and then Booker T decided to correct him and said that is a bookend. Because there was a time when Booker T wanted to be just like The Rock. I have something for that.
Hey, Rock! Go fuck yourself!
That's what I want to say about that. Now, Ricky Saints countered and slaps a crossface into the middle of the ring. Trick has these really long arms and really long legs, so he was able to get to the rope. Trick drops Ricky Saints through the announce table again with a Iranagi, and then hits his trick shot jumping knee strike for a near fall. They exchange blows back and forth. Ricky comes off the rope, hits a spear, followed by a big assisted tornado DDT through the ropes, and a 1, 2, 3, and a quick finish as still the NXT champion is Ricky Saints. Now, I'm not going to lie, at the end of the match, at the end of the show, as they're doing the celebrations, I was truly expecting Boba Fett MMA to show up. We haven't seen him since he lost the title to Ricky Saints. Oba was nowhere to be found, and I think this is maybe, I'm just speculating here, this may be because they may be sending Oba and Trick as he put Ricky Saints over. I think they're also headed to the main roster as well. Now, they did as the show went off the air, they showed the back area, the culling. Tatum Paxley is excited. She has the title. Izzy's looking happy, and as Tatum Paxley goes off the air and says, if you thought that was crazy, you ain't seen anything until Tuesday. So we will see we'll see what goes on with that. So that's really it. That's a quick review of what happened at Halloween Havoc. I was going to get you guys out of here quick. I thank everyone who has spent just a little bit of time here. If you have not hit that like button yet, please do. And be sure to also check out all the links in the description for all the channels of everyone who shows up on Wednesday Nights Overbooked. So if you don't mind,
I'd say you better subscribe or we'll bash in some skulls, right?
thank you once again, Harley. And be sure to tune in next week as I'll be dropping more videos, news, opinions, updates, and especially 6 p.m. Pacific right back here on this channel for Wednesday Night is Overbooked, as I got a lot to talk about as we're going in to the second to last Saturday night's main event, one of John Cena's final appearances as an in-ring talent. And there's a lot to talk about there. But I want to thank everyone who has stopped in. Be sure to hit that like button, share the stream out, and I hope all of you have had a great week. I wish you a great week for next week as well. And until next time, keep talking, keep smiling, and take care.
And here we go.
Is like gravity. All it takes is a little push.